Welcome back to the Jess Marshall podcast. This week is going to be awesome with a capital A. I'm telling you, I am stoked to have Morris Brossette on the JMP. We're going to talk about everything from breathwork to fitness to functional fitness to meditation to plant medicine. I think you're going to really like it. I know I am. Can't wait to talk to y'all after. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Jess Marshall podcast. Wow. Mark that swipe. Bring it. Man, you could feel 10 times better and not have any chemicals in you if you would just nourish your body and hydrate it properly. Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard.
Is that a frustrating thing for you if you have people who you're trying to mentor through fitness where you feel like you're talking to a brick wall sometimes?
Yeah, it's frustrating because I give a shit.
Yeah.
But I've reached the point where now I'm like, man, then don't complain. I'm going to give you everything you need to be successful. It's up to you to implement those things. It's not my life, it's yours. I'm going to give you all the tools, all the support, but it's on you to put that shit together. You know. So, but it is. It's especially when you see how you see them failing, falling mentally, emotionally, really, you're like, okay, if you would just clean some things up a little bit. Like especially with breath work. It's free. You're already doing it. Just pay attention to it. It's that simple.
It stuns me how many people operate in the current, I call it the currency of complaining. Everything they talk about, even if it's a good thing, then they'll compare it to something that they want to complain about.
Yeah.
The amount of energy wasted.
It's terrible. Like,
what are we doing?
You know that old saying, hurt people hurt people. Yeah. Suffering loves to suffer. So we find things because that's what we do. Like, hey man, I can't believe I saw this. Look at this shit, you know. Like, and that's what we do. We don't go, hey man, how was your day? Tell me about your family. How, something that went well with you. But we always talk about
what are you on fire
things.
about?
Yeah, exactly. What are you excited about?
Yeah.
But we talk about the things that are going wrong with the world, which is just putting more gas on that fire of negativity. And it's energetic, like it's out there, and you're putting it out there. The more you talk about it.
Fear, negativity, complaining. I grew up with farmers, so I grew up, dairy farming.
Yeah.
Got a lot of experience with crop farmers too, bro. It is just, it's the weather. Oh no, that's too far of a drive. Oh, the neighbor, no, and you're just like, my gosh. I mean, maybe it's that when you're farming a piece of ground, your world's that small. Like that's all that your life consists of, and you're not traveling, you're not meeting new people very often. And my hat's off to farmers. I learned a lot of things about work ethic. Yeah. But it's just, when people complain around me now, I don't say anything. I just walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, it's almost a moot point to try to convince them otherwise. I mean, like, if it's me and you, I might have a conversation about, like, hey, bro, look, let's talk about this for a second.
I hope you would.
Yeah, but if it's somebody if it's in a group of people, same thing. I just kind of distance myself and then slowly, pull a Houdini and go somewhere else. There's some people that I can talk to. But you're right, man. Like, it's been hot as hell in Texas for the last month and a half, and then it rained, and people are complaining about the rain. Now it's humid today. It's like, and I see people, I talk to people like, oh, my God, it's so humid. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. We need rain. We need humidity. We need the plants to grow. We need all these things to happen. So how about enjoy that?
Yeah, and especially if you like working out and like getting to where you've broken that sweat and you're rolling is your goal, man. When it's humid, dude, I got no pain, none of my joints. I'm like, bring this shit on. This is badass.
I know. I was telling some people today, I was lunging around the track with a weight vest and that 45-pound sandbag, and I was holding the bag, and it literally looked like little faucets were running off my elbows. Yeah, let's go.
Absolutely. I'll work out in my garage. And I'm just like, these clothes are pretty pointless at this point. It's just like, what are we doing? I mean, it's just pouring off me. And what got you into breath work originally?
So I started breath work. I've always been an endurance athlete for the last 20 years, and I was coaching triathlon and coaching Ironman and racing Ironman as well. And that's a lot of mindset. It's physical, but it's more mental than it is physical. Because if something goes south in that distance of a race, which you've spent a ton of money and a ton of time in training, and you've sacrificed a lot, man, if you are mentally not ready for something to go wrong, your day's ruined. And you've just 86 months of commitment. So in my studies, and also I've studied holistic nutrition and integrative medicine since 2005.
Wow.
So with that comes breath work.
You're not a Johnny-come-lately fad trending guy here.
No, yeah, I was one of the original guys to go, what is quinoa? Oh, it's quinoa.
Quinoa.
That was me back in the day.
Yeah.
So, but no, man, and I started, actually, I went to Paleo FX in 2015 for the first time. And I was leading a movement workshop and breath workshop there. And that's where I really learned about breath and meditation, because I was at this health conference, this symposium for paleo lifestyle, fitness, etc. Everybody was talking about breath meditation. I'm like, oh, okay. Here's a missing piece of my puzzle.
Interesting.
I know about it. I know the importance of it from my studies and all the teachers that I've had in the holistic realm, but I really hadn't implemented it. So I started to practice it and put it to use for myself. And then what really kicked it off is I'm one of the directors of a nonprofit here called the Adaptive Training Foundation. We service critically wounded military veterans and civilians
Badass.
that have experienced amputation, spinal cord injuries, neurological issues, things like that. And we take them through a 9-week training cycle. And when I came on in 2016, we didn't have a mindset side of our program. And what we do is we have a 9-week program. We train them Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 9 weeks for about a 90-minute cycle. And one of our Marines, and at the end of that 9-week period, we take them on a trip to celebrate what they've just accomplished. And we'll go skiing in the winter, we'll go rock climbing, do all the different things. And we came back from one of our trips, and one of our Marines that was on that trip he was in a bad space mentally already. And he called my buddy, our founder, and was like, hey, bro, I'm out. I can't do this shit anymore. And he had his pistol in his hand on the phone, and he heard him rack around in his pistol. So we got him David talked him out of it, thankfully, got him into treatment. And then from that, 2 of our other veterans that week said, hey, bro, we're not good either. We need to do something. With my very limited knowledge of breath work and meditation, we were like, hey, man, we got to do something. So I dove headfirst into mindset, into breath work, did a meditation teacher training, started really diving into positive psychology, quantum mechanics, all of the things that have to do with breath and mind. And that's how that changed my trajectory, because I started out in strength coaching, conditioning, kinesiology. Then I went, well, that's not it. There's deeper things to help humanity, or the human, nutrition. I want to get inside and figure out what's wrong and how to fix people. And then I was like, okay, cool. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says it the best. I went through one of his courses. He said, look, man, you could have the best organic grass-fed steak, the kale that was gently massaged and talked to nicely with all the energy around it. He goes, but if you have toxic thoughts, all you're creating are organic grass-fed toxic cells. So it's your relationship with your food. It's your relationship with what you do. So if I go to In-N-Out, leave here and go crush a double-double with a chocolate milkshake and fries, if I think about it negatively, yeah, is it going to have a bad impact on me? Is it going to create inflammation? Yes. I mean, that's common sense. But if I'm like, man, awesome, I feel good about that. I'm glad I did that. And I didn't call it a cheat meal. It was just food. My body's going to react differently to that thing physiologically, because thought creates physiological action as well. So with breath, man, so that's what we do at our foundation is before they work out, they see me for 10 or 15 to 20 minutes. We go through breath. Then we go through language reframing. Instead of speaking and thinking in negations, what you can't do, what you used to be able to do, who you used to be, screw all that. What can you do right now? And we use breath as the anchor. And so because whether you're injured or you want to go work out or you want to have a conversation with someone, if you're not focused on your breath and you're not aware of your breath, we're all walking around like we were talking about before in this let's complain about shit, let's talk about things in a negative manner. So I'm in a sympathetic nervous system state. I'm in a high beta brainwave state. Well, in that state of being, the world's on fire. It doesn't matter what's going on. My physiology thinks I'm running for my life because I'm in this sympathetic beta brainwave state.
Breathing real shallow.
Breathing real shallow.
Yeah.
Shallow. All you have to do is it's the box breath or the breathing in for about 4 seconds through your nose, holding it for a second or two, and then exhaling through your mouth or nose.
Walk me through the box breath.
Yeah.
What is that?
So typically you'll inhale for 4 seconds.
Okay,
You breathe in for 4.
that.
You hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale one more time. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah. So when you do that, when you breathe in, you allow your stomach to go out.
Why is my head tingly? Seriously.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that relaxes you, that calms you down. So with our adaptive population, with every population, man, if you can just put some attention and intention into your breath, everything shifts.
When you get really bad news and you do go into fight or flight, like you can't control that.
Right.
The 4Fs just run things when your life is on the line or when your adrenaline is up. But you're able to use your training and what you've practiced and the discipline that you've worked on to say, no, you know what, ego, that's not, I know you're saving my life right now, but that's not necessarily as bad as you're making it seem.
Yeah.
What are you then doing to calm yourself down? Or like, for instance, you got to go in, you got to talk to some venture capitalists maybe about funding, an idea, a business concept, and you're probably amped as fuck. You woke up, you're ready, you probably got your workout in already. Yeah. You're like, let's go.
Yeah.
What do you do then? Do you box breathe?
Absolutely. I'm a speaker. So before I step out in front of an audience, I'm going through that same breath. And actually what I'll do is you lengthen the exhale. So if you breathe in, you don't have to do the box. If you breathe in for about 4 seconds and then breathe out for about 6, that longer exhale, and as you're breathing out, you're drawing your stomach in towards your spine, just lightly, and that presses on the vagus nerve, which stimulates that calm parasympathetic nervous system. So before I go into anything like that where I'm nervous, that's what I do. And it's the language that I tell myself. That's the important part. So like my current sport is tactical games. So I'm a tactical athlete, which involves shooting an AR, shooting a 9mm, wearing a 15-pound plate carrier, and you're carrying heavy implements. So I might have, farmer carry handles, and you've got 115 pounds on each. And you've got all weapons. You got to pick it up and run as fast as you can, about 50, 60 yards. And then after that, when your heart rate's up, you've got to squat down through this little thing and shoot. And every miss is a 10-second penalty. So I can't control my breath. It's impossible. Like rugby. Good luck. Go sprint 100 yards and do the scrum and then try to control your breath.
Right.
You can't.
No, you're
But
dying.
what you control is your mind. I can control what I tell myself. So when I do that, when I'm in a competition, what I've learned, and before I go on stage, before I speak to someone, if it's not physical, where I physically can't control my heart rate, I can. And I also tell myself, man, this is good to be nervous. You should be. This is exciting.
I'm alive.
Yeah. Fear's there, regardless of how ready, how trained you are. They've done multiple studies on that with marathon runners, like professional marathon runners versus the guys and girls that are just starting for the first time. They both experience the same pre-race anxiety. However, the pros use that anxiety to go, I'm ready, I'm trained, I'm fed, I'm recovered, let's fucking go. These guys are like, ooh, I don't know if I can do this. My family's going to be disappointed in me. Can I make this? Can I do this? They're going to get a medal regardless. But it's what you tell yourself in the moment. So breath is the anchor, then language. So you have to be your best self advocate. So when I talk to, especially when I work with our veterans, bro, they're the worst. And men are the worst. When I do my men's leadership training, my Alpha Training Academy, I'm like, stop being your own worst critic. I'm hardest on myself. No, you're not. Stop. Why are you trying to be hard on yourself? You need to be your best friend. Because when everybody else is against you, the only person you can rely on is you.
Boom.
Look in the mirror. I love you. You're good enough. You're ready. Stuart Smalley, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But seriously,
Hell yeah.
look in the mirror, like, hey, dude, I love you. You're fucking ready. You're worth it. You're smart. You got this. Let's go.
The self-talk part of reframing your thoughts so that you are your own biggest fan.
Yeah.
People who aren't familiar with that probably like, you talk to yourself, like you say out loud, like, let's go, man. This is
100%.
your time. And you're telling us that you're training dudes to do that, and it's saving their lives really when it comes right down to it.
Man, I've been witness to quadriplegics walking again when experts said they would never walk again. That's the level at which I know this works because I see it all the time. I've watched veterans and civilians go from wanting to kill themselves on a daily basis to loving life and leading other people. So you can't tell me it doesn't work because I see it. We see it at our foundation. I see it with all of that population where literally every expert said, you will never do this again. We're like, why not? Why not try? And let's do this. Let's see if you can. And a lot of times they can. I mean, I've literally seen people roll in a wheelchair. 9 weeks later, they're walking.
Like, let's not take somebody else's word for how we're going to live our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
You can tell me what your educated conventional medicine opinion is of my condition.
Yeah.
But, this is running the show. So if I got this dialed in, anything's possible.
Yeah.
The sky is the limit.
Yeah.
But if this is running away with every crazy thought, then, I mean, giving up, running the white flag up the pole becomes this option. Quitting becomes an option.
It's easy.
It enters the vocabulary. On the breathwork side of things, when you first started to meditate, was it real difficult for you as a type A aggressive guy because you got that monkey brain going and you're like, how in the fuck is this even supposed to work?
Bro,
Or
it was hilarious because I was at Paleo FX and I'm hearing all these people talk about breath work and meditation. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna meditate tomorrow. My ex-wife is in the shower. I'm like, all right, cool. Laying in the hotel room, got my feet up the wall, and I put on a 5-minute meditation. And like everybody else, I don't know, like 15 seconds in, my head's like, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? What am I thinking about? I'm doing it wrong. I need to ask these guys this question. It just starts going. I'm like, well, fuck it. 90 seconds in, I'm done. So the next day, there was a panel of guys that were talking about it, and I went up to the microphone and said, hey, here's what happened yesterday. And they all started laughing. They're like, normal. So yeah, and that's the thing. Meditation is not about thinking about nothing. That's a common misconception. People are like, there's no way I can turn my brain off. You're not supposed to. All you're doing is increasing the space between the random thoughts. And the more you do it, like, dude, I am all over the place because I'm a creator. I have that mindset of always trying to figure out something or create something. And I can see it in other people too, but when you do it on a regular basis, and really it's very simple, just listen to a guided meditation, just breathe and listen to the human on the other side. That's all you have to do. And then when you recognize yourself trailing off into wherever, the example is it's like a cloud passing in the sky, like, oh, wait, here's a random thought, back to the meditation. That's it. And the more you do it, the deeper you can get. Like 5 minutes used to feel like an hour to me. And then after a while, man, 20 minutes felt like 3 minutes because you just get in the space and dude, like everything starts to happen. You recover better. You're calm. You're centered. You can handle things better, stress, all those things. But it takes consistency with it. If you do it 3 to 4 days a week for 15 minutes, science has shown the real science. If you can meditate 3 times a week, 15 minutes minimum, there will be a physiological change within about an 8 to 10 week period in your brain. Little, but the more you do it, the better that result gets, faster.
Wow.
So, and the thing about breath work, dude, like I said, you're already doing it. When I speak about breath, I tell like the first thing you ever did in life and the last thing you ever will do is take a deep breath. Just mind the gap in the middle. And it takes nothing but intention and attention. Like when you drive here, sit up, put your hands at 10 and 2, breathe. Listen to music, look around. As you're listening to me right now, breathe. As I'm listening to you, I breathe. It's not hard. So I've trained myself that in any situation, whether I'm tired because it's midday and I've already worked out really hard or whatever, I'm like, you'll hear me breathe. And I just take a deep breath, and anytime I start to get not spun out, but more like not triggered, but if something's about to happen, I'll automatically go into a breath without even recognizing I'm doing it because I've done it so much. So my brain has already rewired itself that as soon as I feel stress, start breathing.
That's your autopilot now.
Yeah.
Did you, before you started the breathwork and meditation work, did you struggle at all with anxiety or depression? And if so, did the breathwork and meditation help?
I wouldn't say
that?
not. I didn't suffer with depression at all. It was more just the anxiousness of being an entrepreneur and being someone that's relying on myself and really like look, man, especially with the population that I work with our foundation. I mean, that's a big responsibility. So we got people's lives on the line, especially when somebody's like, "Hey, man, I think I'm gonna kill myself." Fuck. Okay, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't really. It was more on those lines, but also as far as personally, it was just more of the anxiety of worrying about clients and this thing and that thing, and then just channeling the breath and reframing my language to, hey, it's good, you're good, and going through all the things that are going right instead of visualizing and perpetuating the things that aren't even here yet that could go wrong, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right? You think about all the things that could go wrong and none of the things that could go right.
Or have already gone right.
Yeah. Well, what if? Yeah, but what if? What if it doesn't?
Yeah, no doubt. Do you go back and forth between guided and silent, or do you do all guided still when you meditate? Or is it more of a like, today I feel like, or
Yeah, it's more
today I need a silent, or how does that work for you?
I'll usually, if I don't use a guided, I'll listen to just music, and I'll pay attention to breath, and I'll literally I'll really just feel my inhale and exhale and calming my body and just kind of do a body scan. I've done that before. Or I'll do an open eye meditation where I'm focused on a point, but then I start to pay attention to everything around me in my peripheral. Then I'll pay attention to sound. Then I'll pay attention to taste, to smell, to feeling, and this is called the Warrior's Meditation, where you're intuitively present to everything around you in all the 5 senses. So it really depends on what I'm feeling like. I mean, dude, some days I do it, I'm like, okay, I'm tired, and I recognize that, and I don't get mad at myself. I'm just like, damn, man, I need to chill out.
Yeah, right. It's easier said than done sometimes when you're a go-giver, which is what you sound like. Like a lot of people talk about type A entrepreneurs as go-getters. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who said it the other day, but I was like, hey, that's pretty good. It's a little cliche, but be a go-giver, right? Adding value to people, trying to help other people. Mm. I think Zig Ziglar said, if you help other people get what they want in life, you'll always get more than you could have ever imagined in your own. Yeah. But we walk around being marketed to all the time. Everybody wants our money. Everybody wants our attention. This wants everything from us all the time. Yep. It's always sending us messages, trying to get our cortisol to spike. Ooh, someone liked something. Wow, I feel good about myself or whatever. Yeah. Did meditation and breath work help, working on mastering that, did that help your sleep patterns at all?
Absolutely. Man, the best I ever slept in my life was that weekend I started meditating. Like it went on for several months. Like I've always woken up in the middle of the night multiple times, and there for a little while I was just dead and out. So it definitely helps sleep. And I wear a Whoop, and I noticed too that I started wearing the Whoop after I started really meditating and breathing, but I can definitely tell the difference when I do versus when I don't.
Is your REM periods are longer and deeper?
REM and deep are both longer.
Do you think that the reason why right off the bat you noticed the difference is just because that it was in such opposition to what you had already done?
Yeah.
It's like taking a drug you've never taken, and it right off the bat works like it will never work again for you in your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good drug or a bad drug.
Yeah. It's like when you say you're just jacked up on caffeine all the time, then you clean yourself off of caffeine for a week, man, your body's going to just shut down for a minute, as it should. So it's re-regulating your central nervous system. So one of the big things I've noticed as of late is making sure to do some guided breath work before sleep. And me and my fiance will put on, there's a really cool, several ones on YouTube that you can just put the phone somewhere else, and then we'll put a speaker on, and it'll run for about an hour. And there are 3-hour ones as well. And it's really just a calming sound.
Is it like the frequency? Like the 980 frequency type stuff?
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, with the frequency, you really need to have a headphone on.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to sleep with Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah. Right.
So we will just go into the breath and just listen to the voice, and whatever you're doing and whatever your thoughts are for the day kind of subside, and you focus on that, and man, like the sleep just goes so much better. So that's a big thing for a lot of people, is you have to learn to shut that thing off, shut the TV off, shut all the things off, and about minimum 30 minutes before, just start settling yourself down, and then go to sleep listening to something and breathing. It is so much better.
Do you think that people who do have like anxiety disorder or attention deficit disorder, things like that, and who are just like, man, meditating, I just can't do it. Either my lungs are too small, or my nose holes are too little, I can't do nose-only breathing or whatever. Do you think there's a way around and through that they can figure out how to still get something out of breath work if they would just kind of stick with it more? Is it more than anything, like you've said, you've used the word discipline and practice a few times. Yeah. This is not something that you're just going to naturally go, oh yeah, and just glide right into. You're going to have to work at it. And it sounds like everything else in life, right? What
Yeah.
you get out is equal to or more than what you put in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it, man. And you don't have to, like, my nose has been broken multiple times.
What's up? Welcome to the club. Yeah, me
Yeah.
too, man.
Like if I want to breathe right, I've got to pull it down and move it that way. Then I can take a breath. So,
Do you have to sleep with one of those air things?
I can put I actually got this really cool thing from the Biohacker conference, Dave Asprey's conference last year, that goes inside your nose and opens up the nostrils.
Does that
there.
work?
Yeah, dude, it does.
Really?
Yeah.
Good old Dave.
I know,
man.
right?
Yeah.
But I'll do that. But you don't have to, even if you need to breathe in through your mouth, just start the process of breath, and you will start to get a benefit from it. And the thing about meditation, especially people that are ADD or say, hey, I suffer from anxiety, and this is especially, like, you got to remember, when I started doing this, particularly with veterans, like, think about telling a room of salty, blown up vets, hey guys, let's go in here and breathe and talk about our feelings. I'm like, no.
I bet.
Yeah. And I'm like, how many of you guys meditate? Nobody. I'm like, okay. I know you all enlisted, obviously, when you were going through basic and they put you on the range. What did they teach you? Focus on the front sight. What did you do next? You breathed. What did you do between breaths? You squeezed. You were focused on that target, right? Yep. Guess what you're doing, motherfucker? You meditated. Congratulations. You're already doing it.
There you go.
So anything that you're paying attention to on purpose in the present moment while breathing is meditation. So, like, eating food can be meditation. Running can be meditation. Rugby's meditation.
Your most recent YouTube video is about this.
Mm-hmm.
Working out. If you're dialed into your lift and
Yes.
you're making sure that you're doing it right and your form is on. If you're, I like to go out into this field by where I live and throw some plates on the ground and put a climbing rope through there and just drag them backwards because I'm trying to rehab this knee and hip from this bad boy right here. And you're dialed in because maybe it hurts.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to quit. No, I'm not quitting. I'm getting all the way to the end. That's a meditating. Meditating is not always just Buddha sitting right
Yeah.
in bliss.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're working hard, but if your mind is totally dialed in, that's what you're kind of stressing here to people.
That is meditation. That is the literal definition of mindfulness. So
that everything in your mind is focused on the task at hand.
Correct. Yeah. And that's a start. And that breaks down the barrier for people when they hear that, like, oh, I'm already doing it. Like, yeah, man, you're already doing it. So just now let's try to do it in a couple different ways. And if you can do it for a minute, rad, do it for a minute. And then do that every day. And then in a couple weeks you can do it for 90 seconds, then do it for 2 minutes. You know, like, what's gonna be better? You never trying it, or you trying it every day for the next couple of years and getting 3 years down the road and going, wow, that made a huge difference, or it made a little difference, versus not doing it at all.
Nah, not even trying it because you think it looks dumb or you think it's not going to work.
Right.
Have you noticed when you work with guys, whether they're civilians or veterans that struggle with PTSD or depression, that the more they start to actually work on themselves, the more the self-talk turns and the more they do start loving themselves more? When you're depressed, I've struggled with that, man. I've had so many concussions from that son of a bitch that, it just got me in a spot for a while to where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I went and got my brain looked at and they were like, yeah, you're fucked up. You gotta start making some changes. And I'm a builder. And so I started to figure out, let's put two and two together. It's not often that you get totally perfectly funded on a job to where you have all the resources you could possibly want and you can build a perfect custom end product.
Yeah.
But when you do, you go every day, you're working on that thing, man, you fall in love with it. You put your touch on it. It's yours. It looks awesome. You're proud of it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's the same thing with myself. I start concentrating on what I'm putting in, whether it's through my mouth or my eyes or my ears. I start working out. What am I doing with my body? And I started to just really start to be, because I would always hear self-love, it's so important. I'll be like, man, that's pretty fucking soft.
Yeah.
That's
what we're taught.
Yeah. Why is that?
Man, I don't know. I think it was more of a survival thing. Like the man, the guy. Like, no, that's not what an alpha male is. An alpha male is someone that is in touch with themselves, that is compassionate, that loves himself and gives himself a little bit of credit and a little bit of grace. So now, do we need to be disciplined? Hell yeah. You have to be disciplined. If you're going to make something happen, discipline is key.
Listen to Goggins.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's Jocko too. Like discipline equals freedom. Absolutely. And also, what are you going to do when you get to the end product? It's like there's a great documentary called 180 Degrees South, where this guy spends his entire youth and up into his 30s wanting to go relive this iconic route that these guys drove down through California into Patagonia and climbed this mountain. It's supposed to take 6 months. It took 8, all these things. Long story short, he gets 200 feet from the top and has to turn around. Yeah, because he was supposed to have gotten there in winter. When he got there, it was summer. And if he had climbed, the rock was there was no snow on it. And it was called, the rock is rotten outside that. And Yves Chenard, the founder of North Face, he's in the documentary, and he was like, "There's no way you're not going to make it." So
why? What would the rock do? Fry him or something?
No, it'll fall. So like if the rock is like if it's always iced over and snowy, when it does melt, it loosens up the rock, so you can't really, it can fall. So
damn, 200 feet.
Bro was 200 feet from the top and had to turn around. He'd been dreaming about this for 30 years. So, but the point is, Yves Chenard goes, "Hey man, it's not about the destination; it's about the journey." He's, look, people go to Everest and they get all their stuff brought up to base camp. They get to base camp, their beds are made, their tents are put up. He goes, "You get there an asshole, you leave an asshole because you didn't learn anything about yourself." So it's about when you get to that destination as a man, especially, and even as a woman, as an alpha woman, as an entrepreneur. If you get to the end, you build your house, and you're like, I still don't like myself. What good to do?
What's the point?
What's the point? It's that thing is not going to make you happy, because then you're just going to chase the next thing.
Yeah.
That's it. You have to be happy in here first. And that's for everybody. And when you learn to do that, like, that's the beautiful thing. Like, I love, like, listening to the Aaron Rodgers podcast with Aubrey, right? Like, that dude, they get it.
Dude,
that's
he broke down, man.
That's the beauty of plant medicine, because it shows you what's possible.
My guy.
Yeah.
We're talking breathwork and plant medicine.
Oh, yeah.
I knew you were coming on here for a reason. Yeah, I just listened to that, the whole thing, but then that clip about his experience, his ayahuasca experience. I think he said he took 3 journeys over like a 5-day period, Aaron did, with Aubrey there, and the first night he was just trapped in, self-hate, man. You're a piece of shit. You're a loser. You're not a good person. And we all have made mistakes. Anybody who stands on a stage or in front of you or next to you and tells you that, "Nah, man, I'm good," or anybody else tells you that's a person to be revered, you should probably watch out for that person. It's the people you're like, "Man, I can see their scars," or if I can't see their scars, they tell me about them.
Yeah.
They're real. The plant medicine thing is crazy. I didn't realize that was an area of interest for you as well. It is very much so for me.
Absolutely.
When did you start down that path?
First experience was in February of 2020 with ayahuasca. And then, so I've sat with ayahuasca now 9 times. And
9 times since Feb of 2020?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you, man.
And every time it's taught me something new and different.
It is very different every time.
And one of the most beautiful things is the last time I was doing it was with a group of men and some of their spouses. There was 36 of us in this room, and they all knew each other, so it was kind of a comfortable space. 30 of them were brand new. And this was my 8th and 9th time. And being able to witness and help serve as they were going through that first night experience, and helping them also again through the second night, as long as going through my own stuff. But the most beautiful thing about it was, it's circling back to what we were talking about earlier about self-love and being broken. And one of the lessons that I got the second night, before we were even in medicine, was, man, everybody's broken. Like, you see, I'm in a room full of dudes that get a lot of shit done in the world. Like, these guys are entrepreneurs and very successful at it as well. And every person in that room is broken. And then when they're able to speak about it, and then the man to the right, to the left, across the room goes, "Hey, brother, I see you. I love you." I got.
That's amazing.
That's what it's about, dude. And when we can break down that wall, when I can look at you and say, "Hey, bro, I fucking love you.
Yeah,
I love you." That's what it's about. We weren't taught that.
No.
That's what men need to do. We have to be able to do that. And that's the beautiful thing I've discovered with plant medicine, is it breaks down that wall of your ego has to be gone.
Yeah.
She's going to take it from you.
Yeah.
There's no option.
Yeah.
So with my experience with it, that's one of the, I've gotten a lot, but that was one of the lessons from the last time of, man, like we're all just, everybody's broken to some degree. And when you can voice it and speak it out and you can hear the support around you, you're like, man, I'm not alone. So now when I go back into the world and go back into my job, my profession, my family, I come out as a different person. I can communicate better because I know how to speak without the old wounds coming out. So I've worked with that. I've worked with psilocybin and MDMA quite a bit as well. That's an equally as beautiful plant medicine, minus the physical purging that ayahuasca will take you through.
Right.
Oftentimes people ask me about that too. I'm like, man, I feel like psilocybin is a gentler way to ease you into it. You can still get a lot of the lessons, and you coupling that with MDMA, which is a heart opener. You can see trauma. You can see the things that you didn't want to see in a different light, in a different way. You can see the other person on the other side of that as human, and your ego, your pride, all those discrepancies are kind of pushed aside, and you're seeing really truly from your heart. It's an amazing medicine.
How drastic have the changes been in some of our military brothers that you've helped when you've introduced them to the plant medicine side of things? Because, I mean, in 1965, when this was outlawed and there was no more, the government wasn't going to fund any more studies, and you had, Terrence and Dennis McKenna continue to soldier on, who, Rogan talks about them all the time, do their own, fund their own, get private funding, keep figuring it out, keep experimenting with it themselves. Terrence McKenna is famous before he died for saying we could change the world if everyone would just take mushrooms, man.
Yeah.
What are some of the is there a drastic story that immediately comes to mind of somebody who was maybe just on the verge of running that white flag up the pole, and they started trying this even though maybe they were unfamiliar, uncomfortable with it, and it just changed the trajectory of their lives?
Yeah. I've not personally been with men that have gone through that experience in ceremony, but I've talked to several that have. They're like, man, I was done. I was ready to check out, and the medicine showed me this and showed me a different way. Yes, it took me through all the stuff, and a lot of times, especially with veterans, like the trauma didn't come from service. The trauma was trauma was childhood. Then you take that trauma into service. Then you see and you do the things that they do. Then you come out, and that's just like putting gas on the fire for PTS and all the things. So. The plant medicine shows you a different way. One of my good friends, I've sat with him in ayahuasca and psilocybin multiple times now, and it's constant work because he's got a lot of uncovering to do, and every time it gets a little bit better and a little bit better. So that's the thing too. A lot of times people will think about plant medicine, or they might try it, and they're like, well, it helped, but I don't know. Like, man, you've got 30-ish years of shit to uncover.
Yeah.
You have to give it time.
That's a big onion to peel.
Yeah, man. Like, every time I do it, and when I'm called to it, I do it. And sometimes, like, man, I'm just grateful to be here. I have no intention because when you sit with ayahuasca, your intentions are useless.
Yeah, I don't even know why they ask you for them at the beginning. It's like, I'm just kind of going to go with the flow, bro.
It's going to show you what it shows you. Yeah. So, and I've gotten lessons that I didn't even know I needed to have. So... it and again, being able to have support, for me, being okay with taking up space and being in a position where I'm like face down on the concrete floor, tapping my mouth like a primate for my fiance to give me my water bottle because I can't speak, and she's just giggling, giving it to me because that's what happens, And what I found too is I've set aside the feeling of, or the mindset of, the uncomfortable feeling is bad. Like, this is part of the process. This is part of the journey. Like the purge, that sensation of, I'm going to throw up. Awesome. Let's go. Let's get this thing out.
It's definitely a different sensation purging on Aya than it is purging if you're hungover. From my experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't painful. It was almost somewhat enjoyable.
Yeah.
I feel like you were ahead of the game if you started your breathwork and meditation work before you started your plant medicine work, because there is so much fear, or like, I was really amped. I was really excited. I was like, let's go. I've wanted to do this for a long time. So I'm new to it this year.
Okay.
March was my first experience. Last month, July, 2 months ago, July was my second. Very different experiences. And I don't practice the breath work and meditation as much as it sounds like you do, but I definitely work on it. And man, I was clinging to that, especially the box breath or the just when I would count, and when I would lose count, I would start over.
Yeah.
And I wanted to tap out on. So night one was a combo. It was a psilocybin Aya chocolate combo. Okay. Night two was just the Aya. And man, night two was the first 2 hours was a battle, man. I was like, I want out of here. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I go, where are my keys? Could I drive right now if I wanted to?
Wow.
I wanted out. And I was like, no, you need to be here. No, I'm fighting my CM. I'm counting back down. I'm counting back. And then they brought a second cup, and that broke me through. But I was sitting in that first sensation that Aaron was talking about for a good amount of time. And my journey was 7 hours, something like that, the total, beginning to end. Although at the end, you're still kind of like, whoa, what's up? Do you think that that because you were knowledgeable and disciplined in the meditation and the breathwork side, that you've taken to and gotten more out of the plant medicine, like right out of the gate, than maybe your run-of-the-mill person who thinks that this is all new age and breathwork and meditation is new age? I'm never going to try that, but I'll try some plant medicine now. And then they get in there and that ego is really, because listen, man, ego keeps us alive. Ego keeps us from walking into traffic. We need ego to stay alive.
Yeah.
But it's when you can get your spirit and your ego to dance, right? That's what some of these ceremony shaman will talk about. That's when it's really humming. Do you back to that? Do you feel like that, like your breath work experience helped you to, I don't know how to explain it, to like mesh with this and surrender a little easier?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it does, because breath is the only thing you can hold on to in that moment. Yeah. And I can go back to it always. And even as a facilitator of breath work, the fourth time ago, that first night, we did it 2 nights in a row. I was in it. And
you're drinking that
I was,
sludge
I was,
2 nights in a row.
Yeah. But I was in it hard, and I wasn't comfortable. And I kept having these visuals of what I do with the sandbags and with the veterans, with all these people, and the go, and all the stuff that I do. But then at the same time, I would say, you need to breathe. You need to chill out. You need to teach breath. You need to get on the social channels you're talking about doing all this shit, and you need to tell them to calm down and breathe. And then it would go back to this. But I need to fight, but I need to breathe. And I was like, it was this constant battle, and I was rocking back and forth, and I couldn't get comfortable. And I was purging, but I was purging energy. Nothing was coming up, and I was doing this for hours. And so my fiance had her hand on my back. One of my buddies came over, and he put his head on my head, and he was just holding me. He was like, "Breathe, brother, breathe, breathe." And I would breathe through it, and I would breathe through it, and I would start to. And this is the funny thing too, because I'm not above needing to ask for help, and also recognizing that I can't breathe too. So there were moments in it where I felt like I was hyperventilating, and I was like, and then I would have a visual of in that specific night, I had the visual of the latest Adaptive Training Foundation class that I'd led through breathwork for 9 weeks, and I saw all of them around me, and them seeing me in that space, being human. Not being the guy leading breathwork and like, hey guys, everything's cool. They saw me as just getting my ass handed to me. And I was like, this is what you needed. And so, I would remind myself, breathe. And I would bring myself back to it. Because you're right, like for you and anyone that, if you don't know about it, you start to have that feeling, you start to hyperventilate, and then you start to freak out. But if you can know, number one, it's going to stop. And number two, whatever is happening for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And then you just calm yourself
down. And you're
down.
safe.
Yeah. Everything around you is okay. Is whatever you're seeing, whatever you're feeling, it's for you and you're safe.
Dorian Yates is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So his stories are crazy, right? The first time he ever sat with ayahuasca was just with this guide.
Yeah.
The guy like cooked it up for him, gave it to him around a campfire. He said it was it's not a good experience.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about kind of his journey there, and then he started to find that when he would go to a ceremony with a group of others, that the energy was just much different. Why do you think that is? What's your opinion on why it's important when you sit with the ayahuasca to have other human beings around you, that energy that sometimes it's traumatic, man. There's people, if you're in a room where there's ladies, maybe they've gone through some sort of really traumatic situation and they're screaming and hollering.
Yeah.
That being uncomfortable thing really rings true there. But why do you think it's important to sit with it in a group instead of just, hey, I'm going to shut the lights off, throw some down the hatch, put on a YouTube video and see what happens?
Yeah, good luck with that.
What do you think would happen?
Bro, I don't know. I mean, you'd be fine, but you
might end up breaking on windows out of your own house or something.
I feel from personal experience we have a group that will do it annually. And I got to sit with my fiance for the first time this 2 times ago. And it's different because it's the African proverb, dude. If you want to go far, go together. Like, you have to have community around you.
Did you have a hard time really letting go when you experienced this with her?
Oh, no.
No, even though you're her protector, that didn't interfere.
I let it go. And the next day, she's like, "I'm so proud of you." She's like, "I'm so impressed by you."
Did she have experience
She
with
did.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
We
So it's
both
not
did.
like it was your 25th time and her first time.
No, she had done it 3 times before.
Okay,
it was our first time together, and it was beautiful because she's dealt her life with her mother. She had a single mother who worked 3 jobs, who was never there because she couldn't be. She did the best she could, but Kirsten was always felt like she was alone. She didn't belong, and she was a burden. So the first night, she saw a lot of that, and we're right beside each other, and I hear her breaking down, and she's always felt like she's alone. And what better time for me to put my hand on her and arms around her, go hold her, and say, and I knew, I didn't know, but I knew, and I just whispered in her ear, "You're never alone.
Wow.
You will never be alone as long as I'm alive. You will never be alone. I've got you."
What's the depth of that connection like when it's
Dude,
in an experience like that?
It's that changes the game. I mean, there's a bond that you see each other in the most raw, vulnerable space, and even with the other people in the room.
This isn't jamming out to your favorite song at a Morgan Wallen
Yeah,
concert.
exactly.
This is just a whole different level.
Yeah, and
especially when it's someone who you. Who you're going to share your life with, who you love, like that.
Exactly. And even like our friends, man, like, my boy beside me, he was good, but, he just puts his hand out, and he was going through some stuff, and I had my hand laying down, and he put his hand on top of mine, and I just let him sit there for a minute. Then I rolled over and we just held hands for a little bit. And this is a former NFL quarterback, a really, really good one.
Wow.
And we're just, broing out, holding hands and like holding each other. Like, "Hey, bro, you're good. I love you." And so when you're going through an experience like that in plant medicine, when it is uncomfortable, knowing that you have the support of other people around you, that allows you to go and just let it be. One of the guys in the second night of that ceremony with my fiance was having a pretty rough time, and he had gone outside of the Maloka, the place where you're doing the medicine, and his wife was actually helping, so they had brought him back in, and our medicine person said, "Hey guys, our boy here is not doing too good," and we all knew each other in that room, so she's like, "Hey, if you have the ability to in the space, would you please come around? Let's put some hands on him." And dude, that took me. I was still in the medicine, but I was able to go over there and I just held him. I held his leg and I just rubbed his leg, put my hand over his chest and his heart, and I don't know for how long, but I just put energy as much. Like, my whole thing was, if I've got it to give, I'm giving it to you. So so being able to, in a group of people, when I don't feel well or he doesn't feel well, offer support, which as men we don't do, as community we don't do, and also to have the women see men, grown, big alpha males, like giving each other the support that we should be giving each other all the time. That's what changes the game. That's what starts to alter the way we exist in life. Yeah,
right. Like leading instead of leading with the blade, right? We're leading with the hand, and we're so cordoned off as people now because you can get anything you need just delivered to you using, if you think inside the box only, or inside the box only, you can get your food, you can get probably a person, you can get anything you don't even need a vehicle. You can be totally alone and self-sufficient, and yet when you are, you really realize why. As a group, we're stronger, and as a group, we feel more fulfilled. And you could succeed all you wanted in life, but if you didn't have someone to share it with, it would be different, right?
Yeah.
The weird thing about trying to explain the experience to people is that it's not really explainable.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, what was it like? What did you see? And I'm like, well, it was like everything all at once. Have you seen that movie yet?
Not yet, no.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have a real deep appreciation for it now that you have seen that there's more.
Yeah.
Like, I've always known there's more. I grew up in the church, right?
Same.
Big time,
Yeah.
big time. Like, church 3 times a week, church, school. My dad is a pastor. And while I can take the wheat from a lot of that and leave the chaff and not dwell in the bitterness of whatever human shortcomings, because we're all humans.
Yeah.
And love and appreciate what was good and move past what was bad, there's definitely more. You know that when you just sit down with somebody who you share a worldview with, or they have the same energy, and you walk away from that. I sit down at some of these podcasts and I walk away from them, and I am literally high for a couple days, man.
Yeah.
It's addicting to like sit down, start to network. Hey, you should talk to this person. You should, and it's hard to explain that. Have you ever tried just the DMT on its own?
I've tried it I did it in a ceremony in Mexico, and it's called tepesquite, and it's a plant that you smoke.
Right.
And it's instant. So I saw like the whole world turn into like geometry like this, and my fingertips they started to glow, because I move energy, and I've always wondered, like I dance, and me and my fiance dance, but I always move and I create energy, and I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this is real. This is why I do that. This is why I've always moved this way, because I'm moving and circulating energy around. So the DMT experience was like, it was more of an affirmation of, hey, here's why you do this. Here's what you're here for.
Having so much experience with ayahuasca, then trying DMT, it sounds to me as though your opinion on the ayahuasca is that it's just so much of a deeper, more all-encompassing experience that's not maybe just your mind going on a journey, but it's your body, your emotions, your spirit, your soul, your heart, everything. Is that the difference to you? Because I've never sat with just the DMT. Rogan talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's scared of the ayahuasca, because he'll listen to everybody else's stories, but he won't go try it himself.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's about to.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable, man. But you have you have to reframe that uncomfortable.
Yeah, right.
It's the reframing of, oh my God, this sucks. 'Cause I was helping a guy go through it at the last one, and he was missing the bucket and all the things. He was like, I can't do this. This is terrible. I'm like, no, it's not. This is good. Your congratulations for what you're going through right now. Breathe. You got this. You're doing it. This is a celebration. All these things, these feelings are good. Like, get this stuff out. And it helped him to reframe in the moment. And we talked about the next day of that shifted his perception of, God, I don't want to be doing this right now, to, oh, it's fine. And you mentioned the religious side of it. Yeah. When I first came back from the first experience, man, the most profound thing that happened to me in that week, because I was in Costa Rica, did it 3 nights, is met a girl there who, her trauma was so bad from her family that she has no memory prior to the age of 10.
Wow. Like,
it's just a blank slate. So the first night of our ceremony, she went through, ayahuasca showed her parents' trauma, her grandparents' trauma. It was just the lineage of trauma. The next day she was broken. Like, she couldn't look at me without bawling. So we sat down, we talked about breath, we talked about language, we talked about some things. The next night, because what I've experienced with other people as well, is that it's going to take you to the depths that you need to go before you can come out to the other side. So the next night she got to see those same individuals that had put her through the trauma as teachers, as all these things. So, when you go around the room, our medicine person will say, hey, give me one word to check in, just see how you are. And she just yelled, free. And I was like, oh my God, so fucking great. And then she was open. So this woman cleared 20 something years of trauma in 48 hours.
It's amazing.
So I came back, And I was telling one of my friends about my experience, about the experience of her and some other people. And he goes, hey, but what if you believe in God? And I looked at him and said, who do you think put it here?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's here?
Right.
Did you just not hear what I talked about?
In the beginning.
Healing that happened.
Yeah.
It's plant medicine.
Right.
You know, like I love so much better, and I've seen people love and heal so much better because of these medicines. It's not the devil, it's not evil, it's not sacrilegious. If anything, I've seen people become closer to God through plant medicine.
I believe it. Were you afraid? Maybe you had talked to people before you went. Were you afraid that, you're a fighter, you're a type A, you're an achiever, you're out there making it happen? Were you afraid that, hey, maybe this will rob me of my edge to a degree, or were you just like, man, I need something, I need a chance? What was the impetus for even trying it in the first place?
Yeah, not at all. I wasn't worried. Again, man, if you don't get it, I don't need you to. I'm not going to try to.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to convince you.
Yeah, I'm not here trying to sell the shit.
Yeah, no, dude.
Yeah.
But for me, I always want to go deeper. I always want to know that if somebody's talking about another level, I want to know what that's about. If there's another level to me, if there's something I can experience or learn about myself, I'm going to do it. If that's going into the depths of suffering physically, I'm going to do it because I want to find out who I am on the other side of that. So when it comes to plant medicine, I'd heard Joe Rogan talk about it. I'd heard some other people talk about it, and I thought, man, I'm interested in this. And you may have heard this as well, especially with ayahuasca. You'll know when it's time because you will have a calling to it.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, and people that don't get it are like, what are you talking about?
And they say that when it's done with you, it'll tell you.
I've had that too.
We're done for now.
I've had her go, you're good. You don't need any more. Just sit here. You're solid. And good. I'm good to go. But for me, it was just more of I want to discover everything I can, discover about myself.
You're an adventurer.
And about the earth and about the planet and
Yeah.
about ways to help other people. And if plant medicine will get me there, I'm in.
What are the main misconceptions that you feel like, culturally we have about plant medicine? Like, a lot of people, I don't like to call it plant medicine. I prefer to call it psychedelics, but that even has a weirder sound to people, especially if they maybe were in their 20s in the 70s or whatever. They're like, oh, you're going to go jump, off the balcony of a building because you think you can fly or whatever. And that's, obviously. Yeah. It's not addicting. It's not something that you take for the pleasure of it, right? This is not a triple martini. This is not a line of cocaine. Yeah. There is no ethereal ecstasy to it. It is work, man.
Bro, ayahuasca is anything but addictive. You show me somebody that does a couple nights of ayahuasca and goes, I'm ready for thirds. Yeah. Nobody does that.
No, it's work.
Nobody does it.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's a full mind, body, soul, spirit, heart workout.
Yeah. I feel like the thing that people are most adverse to plant medicines about it's the psychedelic things. It's what we've been taught since Nixon came out and declared the war on drugs. It's not. It's the greatest thing we could be doing, but because we've been indoctrinated and literally programmed to see anything that outside of someone in a white coat giving you an orange bottle from another guy in a white coat as bad and evil, that's the problem, and it's not because we just think it's wrong, like even for me, like I grew up in the Catholic Church, and all my life, man, if priests could have been married, I would have been a priest. Like everybody in my church thought I was going that direction.
Really?
Yeah, and I would have, and I'm glad I didn't. But
I bet you could crush it from behind the pulpit, though, brother. Call down some fire and brimstone,
just
man.
Get ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's even with me, man. Like when I started going down some of this journey, not so much with plant medicine, but just in general, learning that, man, God is God. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, if you're Buddhist, if you're Hindu, whatever. It's all the same. I met a guy and like attracts like. Is in a restaurant in Denton, and this guy just started talking to us. He was the guy behind the bar, and all of a sudden he was talking about his life. We had the 22 kill ring on, and we recognized that together, and he goes, you know what saved my life? My best friend came and got me, took me down to Peru, and we did 2 weeks of ayahuasca in the jungle. That's what saved me. He goes, one of the greatest things I got out of that was about religion. He goes, there are 8 different religions, and what I received was all is one and one is all. Because if you listen to it, they're all saying the same thing, just in a different language. So for someone growing up Catholic in the Christian faith,
there's only one way.
Yeah, it was a challenge
to
hear like the teachings of Buddha and go, oh damn, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But now I can go, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And what when you distill them all down to like the lowest common denominator, what is it?
Forgiveness, love, compassion.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's pretty crazy, right?
It
like
is.
These are like the fundamentals. It's like a wheel with 3 spokes in it.
Yeah. Dude, me and
It's
one of my
universal.
friends, yeah, me and one of my buddies were guiding a friend through a psilocybin MDMA journey. He had some trauma. He wanted us to take him through this experience. So we were taking him through this experience, and we were listening to some music that he had a playlist for, and it was this Indian man. He was praying in English with this beautiful background music, and all he was praying about was love and light and forgiveness and unity. And I looked over at my boy and said, how can you listen to this man and think he's not holy?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't go to our church.
Right.
You know? And that's one of the biggest things in breath work, in meditation, in plant medicine. If anything, it's brought me closer to the divine than anything else.
Yeah.
So, it's letting ourselves, it's letting that side of the ego go of, man, maybe there is something else out here.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something different. Let me get out of this box of judgment. Because I'm judging myself, I'm judging other people. I might not say it to you, but I'm going to judge you.
Sure.
Why?
Yeah. Right. What do you feel changed about you as a person and maybe about your personality after you started down the path and started taking these ayahuasca journeys and then working with MDMA and psilocybin?
Yeah.
Did you become more affable, more friendly, more outgoing, just maybe kinder? Or was it just that the immediate, I'm going to judge you because you have tattoos?
Yeah. It was more for me, it was the anxiety of always thinking, if I hear I work for myself primarily. So if I lose a client for some reason or something happens, it's like, okay, focus mode. Oh shit, what am I going to do? Let's do all these things.
Got to go win another one.
Right,
Got to go get 2 more clients to replace the one
exactly.
I just...
Yeah, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Oh, bro, I relate with that so fucking much, man.
And so my biggest lesson, what I've gained now is that when something like that happens, I literally, again, I've noticed it. I will literally start to breathe and I'll go, okay, cool. Was it meant to be? Next. And I was like, when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. And I left my best friend, who we journey a lot together, I left him a voice note. I was like, dude, you're not going to believe what I just did. Like, this is what I experienced. The old me would have done all these things. This version of me is like, okay, was it meant to be?
You have maybe this sixth sense of like well-being.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to end up under a bridge, living in a tent, unable to provide for me, my fiance, the kids I either do have or will have.
Yeah.
But you're just like, is that...
It's helped me to stop chasing the dragon. You know what I mean? Like, I will be successful.
Like the next truck, next house,
the next thing. It doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit what you have. If they do, they're not your people. What I care about, what you have, is in here and in here. Yeah. And if we can't jive on that, then we can't. And that's what it's about. And that's what plant medicine's taught me. Let me get the human side of you. Let me be human and see people for who they are and stop the judgment. And when I do judge, and when I do become cynical, because I'm human, I'm going to break, I become aware of that pattern, and I can redirect it. That's the beauty of what I've learned in plant medicine. And also for me is loving my family more, being the glue for my siblings, although older, being that for them, because I've received that as well. So it's really about loving people more. And you want to talk about having a bad temper and just will destroy you verbally with every ounce of my being. That was me. I'm not that way anymore.
Young Mo?
Yeah, bro, it was bad.
Really?
Yeah, real bad.
Could you just flat out go at people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it felt good. So being able to redirect
was that maybe
it,
part of being one of the younger in your family
No.
that you got pushed down on
it
a
was
lot, or?
it was more. I feel like my father died before I was born, and my stepfather really wasn't the best example of a father. So everything was my fault, that whole thing, and I really never had a role model. So and a lot of times I was told what I was thinking, and if something went wrong, here's why it's your fault, type thing. So as I got older, late high school into college, if I thought you were telling me what I was thinking, God have mercy on you.
Fuck you.
It's about to
and
go.
the horse
Yep.
you rode in on. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
and now I catch myself in that, and I've redirected into recognizing that's an old behavioral pattern, and I've cleared up it through medicine. I've even seen my stepfather in a different way, and he passed away several years ago, I never got a chance to reconcile that, but I've reconciled it now with me, and I saw it in a different way. I was like, and I wasn't even trying. That's the beautiful thing about plant medicine. In that particular case, I wasn't even trying to clear anything up, and it just showed me him and showed me these things in a different perspective. I was like, fuck.
It's very interesting how it does just kind of go in there and start searching things out. So this is how stem cell treatments have been explained to me, and I'm very interested in that. That's going to be something that I'm going to go hard at that for some of my unsolvable injuries or these nagging things that I don't want to go under the knife for. I don't want general anesthesia again. I don't want more pain pills. That the stem cells go into you, but they're obviously going into your physiology, and they're just looking for every little weak link in your cell chain, and they're going in there and they're squaring that away. If you're a Rogan fan, I'm sure you heard where Mel Gibson is on there talking about the stem cell clinic he took his dad to, which is Dr. Neil Reardon, who's out of South Lake.
Yeah.
He's got a spot down in, I think it's Panama. Back to the plant medicine though, it's just going in there and it's seeking out things in you to solve. But have you noticed anything physically change? Like, have you noticed that maybe your blood pressure is probably already pretty good because you were fit? You said your sleep with the breath work changed, and not getting good sleep is really it's a pretty terrible thing to live with. But did anything else physically? I mean, I've heard lots of crazy stories, people who've had physical injuries that the plant medicine has started to help, like maybe their biomechanics started talking to their brain a little better, their body started moving a little differently, kind of healed itself. Did you notice anything like that, or have you?
I haven't personally, no. I've had some friends that
you kind of went in as like the model human though to your plant medicine because you were fit and you knew a lot about and were practicing breath work.
Yeah, and also she's like, "Oh yeah, little boy, let me show you this."
I know.
That's the beautiful part about it.
Yeah,
and
Did you have good growing up? Did you have good experiences, good relationships with your grandmothers?
Oh yeah.
So, and they call ayahuasca the grandmother. So you have Mother Nature, and this is the grandmother, right? Yeah. My last grandmother passed away 3 weeks ago. So 2 weekends ago, I was in South Florida for the funeral.
Yeah.
My dad and aunt gave the eulogy. My dad is a preacher. Like I said, he just fucking crushed it, dude.
Yeah.
I was sobbing.
Yeah.
And trying not to. I mean, he was killing. I felt like he was talking right at me. He probably was, that son of a bitch.
Yep.
When you're in your first couple of experiences with the grandmother, did you have, because I had conversations with both of my grandmothers. Have you had that experience yet?
No, not with my grandmothers. The interesting thing is, I mentioned earlier, my dad died before I was born, and I've always wanted to see him, and so I've always yearned for that relationship all of my life. Even into my, I'm good. I got some. Even into my 40s, man. Like I would see a father and son.
Yeah.
And
I bet that
having
hurt.
Having a good relationship. I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I had that.
Want to go shooting with him, hunting with
something,
him.
all the things.
Fish. Yeah.
But and actually before the plant medicine, I was writing, and I was writing just for myself, but also to teach the athletes at ATF and in my own personal breath work and journaling, and teaching of mindset and breath. I started to recognize where I am right now in life, and where I would have probably been if my father would have been alive. And I started to think about all the things I've gotten to do and the people I've gotten to serve and how I've grown and what I'm doing right now. And I put my pen down and I was like, I don't want to say this. I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
And that's fucking hard to say, dude.
Yeah.
Do I wish he was here? Yes, every day.
Yeah.
But if he was here, I wouldn't get to do what I'm doing. I wouldn't be able to serve the way I'm serving. There's not a chance in hell I would be doing what I'm doing. I probably would have enlisted 100%. The only reason I didn't was because he wasn't here. And I would not do that to my mother. I would have enlisted. So I don't even know if I'd be alive. So if he was alive, my life would have been a complete different trajectory. So it was, and it's even hard to say it, but I'm glad it happened. So in one of my ayahuasca experiences, my intention was to see my father. I was like, man, I would love to see him.
Because he was gone before you even...
Yeah. I mean, I was conceived 3 days before he passed away. Yeah. And
what happened?
So he was a police officer, and he was a diver doing search and rescue. And they were looking for this guy that was missing, and he'd come up, done for the day, and the guy's wife showed up and said, hey, can you please look by the dam one more time? And my father said, absolutely, I'll go to the dam one more time. Went down, never came back up. And my mother told me a couple years ago, she goes, I never told you this, but we wanted to have a kid, and we tried once to have you. And I was like, what?
Wow, man.
Yeah. So...
That's crazy.
Yeah, I look like him. I sound like him. I finally heard his voice in 2010. My ex-wife got some of his old tapes from my mother and had him transferred to CD, and he used to sing my mom. And I heard his voice for the first time in 2011.
Was that a trip?
I was like, holy shit, it's me.
Wow.
We look the same. Like, we are the same fucking person.
So he was a stud.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
He had a comb over him. Like, I'm glad I shaved my head. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Your poor mother, man.
Oh, bro.
That's horrible.
Exactly. So it was bad. So then she became a state trooper. She was one of the first 2 female state troopers in the state of Louisiana. She said, I needed to know why he loved that job so much and did what he did.
That's ballsy.
Yeah, no shit. So that night in ayahuasca, I really wanted to see him. And then in the journey, she said, why do you want to see this version of him that's no longer there? He's gone. He's not in this place. His energy his soul is there, but he's dispersed. And then, like, all the things that I've wanted in a father, a role model, of this guy, of that guy, I started seeing the men in my life, my good friends, and it was this guy that had that trait, this guy that had that trait, so on, so on. And she said, see, he's been here the whole time.
Wow.
I was like, fuck.
It's your happy it happened experience, very similar for me. And my first ayahuasca experience was all these bad things that have happened to me. Mm-hmm. We've all heard the expression, it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. Reframe that. You can say that to yourself all you want. When you actually start to feel it, it's very profound. Mm-hmm. You look back, it takes you through some of those, maybe through some very painful things.
Yeah.
And you just get I got this new appreciation for it because I was like, well, I know a lot of other people have gone through things like this. And I also know how annoying it is when you're going through something tough and someone's like, man, I know I've been there. And you're like, no, you never have. Yeah. You've never felt this, right? Like, thank you for the sentiment, but no, you haven't.
Yeah.
Because if you had, you probably wouldn't say that, right?
Yeah.
And I just did get this very deep appreciation, like almost this pride, which that it's the wrong word because you are surrendering your ego, but almost like, look at all this shit I've been through, man, and I'm still here, and I'm here for a reason. Do you feel like your purpose in life has become clearer since you have started your plant medicine, just overall experience?
Yes. Yep.
What do you feel like you were put on this earth to do?
To teach.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been a teacher, and even it's been planted to me through my life. Like in high school, I was a leader. I was in all the clubs, and I was a leader in those clubs. Through college, I grew up in martial arts, and my people in my martial arts class were like, "Hey, you should teach." One of the guys was a professor at the university. He goes, "Have you thought about teaching? You should teach. You'd be a great teacher." And just it's been, again, like little snippets of it, and it feel like I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to help and to serve. So plant medicine has shown me what I feel like is the highest level of service, in that level of helping human beings see each other as who we are, and clearing all that bullshit, clearing out all the trauma, doing the work, and then seeing what's on the other side of it, which is life, which is community, which is relationships, which is possibility and opportunity. And man, when you can get in that space, and if I can help facilitate that space and help facilitate someone living a life, That's why I'm here. I'm here to serve however I can.
And don't you think that you would be nowhere near the effective teacher that you are and that you're becoming if you hadn't had to go through some of these things? Because like Einstein says, experience is knowledge. Everything else is just information. I can go on YouTube and I can watch all this shit, all these videos about climbing mountains, but if I never climb one, it doesn't resonate. But because you had to go through things, you lost your father, you had that deep void. Now when you see that in someone else, they might not even ever really have to vocalize it or verbalize it to you. Kind of probably pick right up on that sometimes.
Well, I'm working with some young men right now. One young man just turned 18, another one just turned 21, and their mothers hired me to help them do some physical training. But through that physical training and physical purge, we get to talk about things. And that's where it's at, man, because if I had not lost my father and gone through all those things, I can relate to both of them in a way that no other man, well, I'm sure a lot of men could, but I am now that person that can relate to him, that can be a strong male figure, that can also be compassionate, that can also be the teacher, that I can look at that young man across from me and say, hey, buddy, I feel you. Let me tell you about my experience with that. It's not yours, but let me share with you mine. And you can see the wall start to break down. He's like, oh man, it's okay. You know, I can relate to them in a different way, in a way that a counselor can't.
Yeah.
And also,
come sit on my couch.
Yeah, and
F
I'm going
you.
to look at you stoically and just ask questions. No,
and
man.
write notes about you.
I'm going to look at you. I'm going to put my hand on your chest. I'm going to fucking hold you and hug you and let you know that you're seen.
Yeah.
That's like, man, I love it. Like I was talking to one of those young men yesterday because he has some social anxiety issues as well. He was afraid to talk up and speak up in class and other people. And we were working out, and I was reminding him through that workout how hard that thing was that he was doing, how good he is at hard things. I'm like, man, you realize that most human beings, most adults are too afraid to do what you're doing right now. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to open your mouth. And it just comes out, you know, and it comes out to serve. Like, it's not me, it's not pride, it's not ego. It's like, and I get through with that, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for that gift.
Have you always been a critical thinker? Have you always thought, hey, there's more to all of this than what's on my TV, on my phone, on my laptop, on that billboard?
I think so. I just didn't know I did. There's always been something.
Oh, y'all Louisiana boys, man.
Bro, I had to get out. I knew early on that state was not for me. I love the people. I love the food. It's a great community.
Food, bro.
But I got it. Yeah, I was
Go
like,
Tigers.
Yeah, I got to go. I got to grow from this, man.
Yeah. Interesting. The critical thinking part of it, where it's not like when you're a critical thinker, you just wake up one day and go, today I'm going to start looking at things from a different angle. You know, especially when you grow up in deeply religiously, you do start looking around going, yeah, so I see a lot of the good here, but why can't I question any of this? That confuses me. Like, what do you think that's part of maybe what got you? Because that's, I think, what I was put in a place as a very young kid as a leader as well, as a pushback. The bullies push, and I push back, and everyone kind of lined up behind me just naturally, and it just became whatever it became, and it's molded me into what I am now, which is most definitely not the finished product. It fucking better not be the finished product, but I'm enjoying the journey. I'm trying to make the most of it and become and press up against my potential as hard as I possibly can and get as far as I can. Right? Do you think that possibly growing up in that super closed-minded's a really tough term to use, but maybe it's the right one when it's, hey, there's only one path to heaven. This is right. This is wrong. Do you think that was part of what kind of got you rolling on the thinking, looking, taking it all in, going, there's got to be more than just this as the only fucking answer?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I know. I remember being a child and being afraid as all get out that I was going to go to hell for some random ass reason.
Right.
You know, that's what we were taught, like flames and all the stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm like, fuck, man, why?
Hell was, man.
Yeah. So like everything you did, like.
Did you ever see that when you were a kid? Did they ever come to your church and do that play called The Judgment Seat?
No.
Brother.
No.
God almighty.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
No. But I don't know, man. I just remember, again, I lived in a tiny town.
Yeah.
And when I was, like, we got into BMX riding and we're doing all the things, and I got into skateboarding in 6th grade. And I was just different. Like, I was the only Catholic kid in a Southern Baptist town.
Yeah.
Number one.
Sure.
And so, but everything I did, I just operated differently. And I think I got that from my mother, who was just a different breed herself.
State trooper.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I feel like, I don't think it was the critical thinking of that. I just felt like I've always been the outlier. I've always been on the other side of doing things a little bit different.
But you were kind of comfortable with it, and maybe almost wore that as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah. Like I was in high school after my freshman year. I was more of a chameleon. Like, I could blend in with.
Sure.
And even my ex-wife, she's like, you're a chameleon, because I know enough about most things that I can go into any situation and blend in.
Robert Greene should write a book about you.
Yeah. So it was just, and because I want to be, I'm not trying to be a connector so much then, but I don't know. I just, you have the clicks in here, you have the clicks over here, and I just wanted to mesh with everybody.
Sure.
So I don't know where that came from, but yeah. And I don't know
Natural skill.
Yeah. I don't know if that led to my critical thinking.
Well, maybe if you're in and you're not necessarily running contrary to everyone, right? You're not just T-boning every other human with a different thought pattern, but you're in there and you're listening, you're going, interesting. I don't know. Interesting. And you're picking up on that. That's that curiosity, that adventurer that, some people are just naturally that way. You sound like you are. Back to the breathwork thing. Now that they've discovered that there's actually DMT in the cells of our lungs, have you gotten real deep on like some breath of fire work and gotten that real interesting experience? What's that been like?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's great to take people through it. There's one you can get. It's called 9 breath, where you do the holotropic breath of fire for about 9 breaths, and the breaths get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you hold, you swallow, and then you hold for, 30, 40 seconds, and then you breathe out like you're breathing out through a stirring straw.
Okay.
And that's the release of DMT. I've not had a visual experience with it. It's more cerebral and body, where I feel like I'm almost lifting up off the ground.
Weird.
And that's the experience that I've gotten with it. We're going to do some stuff. I actually have one of our friends is staying with us, and she's done a lot of breath work as well. We're all kind of in the same, that spiritual space, but grounded.
Right. Yeah.
And she's experienced with plant medicine. And she said, man, the most the most visual experience I've ever had was in breath work, about 45 minutes in. She was like, I went into a different planet.
Really?
Yeah. And I've heard that from multiple people.
And we're not talking about meditating until you fall asleep when you're doing breath work like that. We're talking about, it's a workout, man.
Yeah,
sometimes you're breaking a sweat when you're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to do that on Saturday, actually.
Are you? Yeah. Man, I'm very interested to hear how that works out.
Yeah.
That's is she going to guide it, or is she?
Yeah.
What type of setting are you? You just in the house sitting on the floor type thing? Have you done the one where you're laying on your back with your feet up the wall or on the couch?
I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to be laying down. We'll be on the ground. Yeah. You have to be laying down for that one.
Yeah. Have since you've started your plant medicine work and your breath, and then obviously the breath work before that, have you had dream experiences that were different than anything else you've experienced in your life? Have you noticed any changes there?
Absolutely. I really wanted to try to do some astral projection a while back. Wow. So I started listening to some guided meditations on astral projection.
Yeah.
Although I haven't done it yet, I have had some crazy vivid dreams that I can't explain. But I wake up and I'm like, the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, dreams have gotten more vivid. They've gotten deeper. They haven't been bad, but they've definitely gotten more intense in a detailed way.
When you listen to Aaron Rodgers, who's really maybe the most mainstream voice out there about this, and obviously the guy is a critical thinker, and he does run contrary to a lot of, pop culture.
Yeah.
He said he went into his experience with very clear intentions. He's trying to mend things maybe with his family. I think his relationship with that movie star was kind of on the ropes, and then I think it fell apart after. But if you look online, you just search Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca. There's all these videos that say ayahuasca to MVP. Actually, I think Aubrey even put his thumbnail on YouTube as that. I was like, brother, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little cheap. But in terms of his performance, do you feel like that was probably just his ability to connect with his teammates on a different level? And then he obviously in that podcast talks a lot about how hard he is on himself, which a lot of top flight performers are, and him being able to kind of give himself a break.
Yeah. You have to be. I mean, think about it, especially at that level. Man, if it's 4th and 2 and you're down and you just fucked up, if you're critical of yourself in that moment and you can't get past what you just did wrong, you're going to mess it up. That's on you. You have to be able to just clean the slate and go, okay, now what can I do right this time? And I'm sure he does that already. He's done it. He's proven it.
That short memory thing a lot of those guys do.
But you come at it, and you know this now, the plant medicine gives you an opportunity to see it in a different way. And I can't explain it any other way than that.
Like you explained losing a client.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
okay,
we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
That sucked. What can I do next?
I'm going to put my best foot forward because I got to control everything I can control. If I control absolutely everything I can control, absolutely and completely, and if people would just realize this more, their lives would change exponentially, right? Like there's so many things we can't control that we, like, before we even went on, we're talking about that we complain about.
Right.
But if we control down to just the clear, granular, molecular level, every single thing that we can control, my gosh, we would feel so much more empowered just as people, as the organism that is human beings, humanity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It had this feeling of helplessness and I'm trapped and there's no way out and all of that.
Yep.
Was your attitude about failure, has it changed since you started the plant medicine, or have you always been I almost look at failure like a goal? Like when you're working out, I'm not going, I'm going to throw just a couple 45s on there, rep out, call it a day. I'm going to go because I know I got to break it all the way down to build it back better. If that's a terrible slogan that's been hijacked, by the way.
Yeah.
Build back better.
Yeah,
God
no
damn.
shit.
Have you always sought failure, like set your sights high and I might miss, but I'm going down swinging, I'm going to hit higher than I would have if I would have just set something realistic? Or has that even started to change? You're like, man, if I fail, I know I gave it my best. Has your mindset and the way you frame failure changed at all since the plant medicine, or has it always been kind of one of those things where you weren't afraid of failure?
Yeah.
You kind of went at it.
Yeah. It's evolved over the years as an endurance athlete, from mountain bike racing to adventure racing to triathlon to all the things. Like, failure is a part of that whole process. So I learned early that failure is the path to growth. If anything, the plant medicine has just highlighted that failure is good, and vulnerability and submission and surrender to whatever experience that you're going through, whether that's failing and learning or winning and learning, that's part of the journey. So I feel I've known that for a long time. And I've taught that for a long time. Plant medicine has just, again, like, bold, underlined, and italicized it on a billboard for me.
Yeah, in big ass font. Yeah. What do you do for yourself in terms of your personal discipline? Like, what's your morning routine so that you can take into every takedown and every breakdown, every interchange, this energy? Like, you can arrive with intention to teach, to infuse other people. What are you doing to make sure that your cup is, like Blake says, your cup is so full, you can pour that into a saucer, then you can pour that to another person? What are you doing for yourself that's practical that listeners and viewers could do just with their mornings? Is this like maybe like I do no artificial light for an hour, right? I'm fumbling around. It's really early. I don't know what I'm trying to figure it out. I try to ground right outside. I'm doing water first before the caffeine. What are some things in the morning that you do to get yourself rolling?
Yeah, coffee. No, I'll really.
Yeah,
but I love the ritual coffee. It's a beautiful experience. But I will if I have the time, because sometimes I'll have to get up really early. I will do a bit of breath work. Just depends on the day, how much, how long. I'll typically read something. I'm reading a book by Young Pueblo right now, along with the Daily Stoic, and just reading little excerpts of it.
Beautiful.
And just thinking about it. I journaled for quite a while. I've gotten out of the habit for a little bit, which I feel like with journaling, with any morning practice, once it starts to begin to feel like work, then you're going to see it in a different way. And it's an ebb and a flow. So I'll wake up and I feel what do I feel like doing right now to serve myself? Let me do some breath. Let me just calm down. Maybe it's I'll put on some music and listen to a guided meditation. It's one of those things or a combination of all. And then when I get in my truck, a lot of times I'll put on East Forest. He's got an amazing album it's a plant medicine album, and it's just real cool, easy music. And I'll just be grateful that I'm in my truck and practice gratitude and just work on my breath and be grateful for the people that I'm about to go see and experience. So I go into the day looking at it as an opportunity and with gratitude. Even if I'm tired of whatever's going on, I'm like, man, this is awesome. If I'm tired, I'm like, man, I've kicked ass this week. I've done a lot.
Sleep of the working man is sweet, right?
Yeah,
it says that in the Proverbs.
Yeah, like I need to sleep more right now, but I feel good. I'm glad to feel this tired. That's what I do. And it's the mindset of gratitude and breath, those two in combination, that take me into every day.
I have found myself last couple of years, I almost feel guilty when I get like inspired or motivated.
Really?
I feel like, I should just be able to just knock this out with no... Because when I get inspired or motivated, obviously my endorphins are going crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe other chemicals are going off and I'm riding that. That feels awesome. Whether I'm creating content or writing or working out or whatever. And I don't know why. I think it's reading too much Goggins and too much Jocko, where you just go, come on, stream ownership, just do it whether you feel like it or not. But what you said there was beautiful about the morning routine. If I wake up and this is just a job, then life becomes drudgery again, and life is so beautiful. And to see it in a different way, what do you do to seek out motivation and inspiration? And do you run on a lot of motivation and inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You feel inspired?
Absolutely.
Too inspired to be tired?
No, I let myself be tired too.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. No, man, I that's why I read what I read. I read things to make me think. That's the critical thinking side of it, for right in the moment now. And it's also it's ironic, but I know it's there as it should be. I can't remember the name of the book right now by Young Pueblo, but it's just little excerpts, like 2 paragraphs.
Great. Yeah.
And I read that and I'm like, and it almost every time I read it, it's applicable to something that's going on.
Weird.
And I just go, thank you.
Yeah.
And I just chuckle. I'm like, awesome. How can I apply this today? Because it's one thing to read it.
Yeah.
How can I apply it?
Well, if it's hitting, though, and you're like, whoa, what is your inclination toward or your focus on the stoicism? What's that? Because that all interests me, right?
Yeah.
Ryan's a very interesting guy.
Yeah.
I lost a little respect for him when he was going so hard in the paint about the cold.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, stay in your lane and let's go.
Yeah.
You can think what you want to think, though. Like, I mean, I think we should all be able to think what we want to think, and no one should judge you. You shouldn't get banned or canceled or anything. Robert Greene is, I think, the best nonfiction writer who's ever lived. I mean, some of the shit he comes up with blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's just insane. But the stoicism, what does that help you with? That just helps you with the understanding of that is kind of the everything's going to be okay. And if I take care of myself and I don't reach for the things I can't control, then I'm going to live a happier life. If you had to distill your journey through learning about stoicism, if you could put it into a couple of sentences, if that's even possible, what would you say?
I would say specifically reading the Daily Stoic and reading the words of Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, and you read it and you're like, damn.
It's fucked up that he wrote all of that in a journal he didn't want anyone to even read.
Yeah, but you read it and you're like, it could be it's applicable now.
Yeah.
And this was how many years ago? Or
A bunch.
you read the work of Miyamoto Musashi, the most successful samurai on the planet in history, and you read his words, seek nothing outside of yourself, everything is within you. I'm like, man, these guys, they've been teaching this since the dawn of time.
That bliss is not out there.
Yeah.
It's
the baddest motherfuckers on the planet that are saying this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not some dude over there like, hey guys, let's go eat some kale and
No.
whatever, which is fine if you want to do that, cool. But it's like these were the hardest motherfuckers walking.
They were running shit, man.
Exactly.
Like running it.
And they're also like, hey, let's love, let's think, let's
absolute
do this.
power corrupts absolutely. Like these ideas that, it's very odd. Like, you grew up religious, I did too, and to think that there's only one book that's ever been written that had divine motivation behind it, I think is very, is a very one spectrum way to think.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
if we really think that we're all created in the image of the Creator.
Yeah.
Right? There's
Yeah.
divinity in all of us. The
Yeah.
way we minister to other people. If you can help someone heal, did you know, have you seen the documentary about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber?
Yeah, I have not.
His upbringing, he was pretty much isolated as a baby and a young child because he had this sickness. Like, no one could touch him, talk to him, nothing.
Really?
From like an infant to, I don't know how old it was. I don't want to misspeak. It's fascinating on Netflix, but the audio is so poorly mixed that I can only watch it in sections. But it's fascinating, right? If we think, wow, there is energy in me and I can impart that into someone else at certain points. And if I go around and start doing that, it's going to come back. Like
Right.
the verse in the Bible, right? You throw it out and it's going to come back on every weight. Cast your bread upon the water. Those are biblical thoughts and sayings, and those are also threaded and woven through philosophers, warriors, highly successful people who've found meaning and truth in those same things. What do you do when you struggle with doubt? You're running your business. Maybe it's not going the way you want. Maybe you got lined up for a keynote and then they at the last minute pulled the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of these things where maybe 2 clients cancel in a day and you're like, what the fuck? What do you do in yourself to grab doubt by the collar and drag doubt out into that deep water?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where it's got to go, man. Because if it's swimming around your ankles and nipping at you, it's going to get you. But you got to drag it, man. You got to actively and aggressively and assertively drag doubt out into the deep water. You have to. I have to. Or it sits there and it festers and it becomes something way bigger than it ever should have been. What do you do other than the self-talk, other than the breathing? Are there things that you do if you're frustrated as fuck, maybe with your old lady or maybe with the business, or maybe, shoot, man, my faith isn't, I'm questioning things.
Yeah.
What do you do? Is that a let's go work out hard type of thing for you, or is it maybe different every time?
Yeah, it's different. I would say with speaking and with clients, especially with speaking, because that's happened before. We're like, hey, we want to hire you for this thing, and then they'll be like, well, they went another
the old
route.
take back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that sucks because I really wanted to do that. I was excited about it. It was a lot of money, but something else is going to happen, I guess. I guess it'll happen. Or if I was, and it's not absent of the disappointment, especially when it comes to speaking, because, this is not an egotistical thing that I'm saying, but man, I have such a great message to deliver in a very unique way to speaking with the population, the adaptive community, and showing how these impossible things are possible, that when I do get to speak to someone, they're like, holy shit, that I've never heard it that way before. And I'm like, man, I wish I would be able to give you that experience and maybe you glean something from it. But also I've learned that if I dwell on it, like we just talked about earlier, that's totally out of my control. I cannot control that any longer. So me now worrying about that and going, well, shit, I really could have used that money. I really wanted to do that. That's also pride going, hey, dude, you're good. And then I remind myself, it's okay. Something's going to happen. And I don't know what it is. It's got to be, it's divine intervention. I've always been taken care of. I've always been taken care of. When I've lost something, when I've lost a client, when I've lost something, it has always thankfully come back. Because it's almost like God's going, I got you, man. I got you. Like and now it's happened enough that I've learned to go, okay, it's fine. I really wanted that, but it's cool. Like with clients, if someone cancels, I mean, hell, if that happens now, I'm like, cool, I'll work out. Or I'm gonna go hang out and just chill for a bit.
Yeah.
But
go hit the range.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's like a couple weeks ago, I personal trained forever and got out of it, then got back into it just because I love it, especially with the work that I'm doing now with sandbags and moving these different objects. And I was in Dallas at Germany Park walking around the track, and I've been barefoot except for now for the last like 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. I just wanted to be barefoot. I wanted to ground. I wanted to feel it. And I'm walking around the track. It's a beautiful day. Like, it's awesome. I'm like, I start to laugh, and I just look up and like, I'm at work right now.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've got, some board shorts on, barefoot, no shirt on, walking around a track at 10:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. I'm like, life is good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in the middle of Highland Park, Texas, where everything is about who you know, what you drive, how big's your house,
Oh, yeah.
all the money. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm free, bro. I'm good right now. Now, does that mean I don't want more? Of course, everybody does. Or I do. But it's keeping myself in perspective and humble with that.
And open.
Yeah.
When you were a kid and you would watch movies like Shawshank Redemption comes to mind, prison movies.
Yeah.
And guys would say, like, I'm freer in here than I ever was and I ever have, because they finally understood. They went deep mentally.
Yeah.
Is that something that you started to really understand? Because when I'd be like, the fuck you talking about, man? You got to eat when they say eat.
Yeah.
You can't even pick your own clothes out. When you started down your meditation path and then you doubled that up with your breathwork path, or I think it was a little flip-flop there, and then the plant medicine, is that peace, that freedom piece of your life just more pronounced than it's ever been? You just feel freer than you've ever felt?
I do. And I will tell you, the woman I'm with, Kirsten, that's what solidified it. She's been the one, because we're both on the same page about what we want, what we need, and that's each other and happiness. And I know that as long as I have her and she has me, and we're happy together, that's all I need. And I've told her that, and that's been such a breath of fresh air for me as an entrepreneur, as a business owner and creator of all these things. And I want to make sure that she's provided for and feels safe and feels comfortable. And I also know that I don't have to live up to an expectation. I just need to show up as me in the best version for her and for us, and we're complete.
You've got a safe place there,
Well,
unconditional love.
It's
Which is hard to find these days.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like that's what it is for me. It's her. Like, she is my completion because of that. I know whatever goes on in life, whatever goes wrong, whatever happens, as long as we have each other, we're good.
You ever read the 5 love languages?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? What are your love languages?
Physical touch and words of affirmation.
Yeah. And communicating with your significant other is it's so important, especially with as distracted as we are. Do you guys have like phone down for 2-hour type thing when you're at home at night or anything like that?
Yeah, especially when
Yeah.
we eat, like no phones, no nothing like that.
So you can dial in on one another and really concentrate on the beauty of that other person that you were obviously attracted to, more than just the way they looked, but also, you know, their spirit, their aura.
Yeah, and we breathe together, and that's like, there'll be times where, especially when we go to sleep, we'll start to breathe in unison.
Wow.
And like it's weird, man, but it's amazing.
What are you doing business wise that you're excited about right now? And everything's not the answer.
Yeah, no shit. All of it. That's how you know somebody's full of shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
Man, right now I started working with this company, the shirt Brute Force that I'm wearing. It's a sandbag company, and they're one of the OG sandbag companies based out of Denver. And it's really cool that I'm able to branch out into this new community of humans that knew a little bit about breathwork from the COO that was there, but I'm able to teach what I've learned to a new population of people, and see the gratitude and how that's helping them be better humans in such a short period of time, and being able to teach people how you can use something like a bag of sand in replacement of a gym, and how it can help you train better than most steel or machines in certain ways.
What is it about that method of training? Well, first of all, I love working out outside.
Yeah.
Like I can't stand gyms,
Yeah.
man. I don't like the culture. I just, ugh.
Yeah.
And I grew up doing that shit.
Same.
The
Yeah.
locker room and just the and the meat market and just the bullshit.
Yep.
What is it about that throwing those sandbags around and being outside and fighting gravity and
It's
what
primal, man. It's primal, instinctual fitness. Like, this is what we're designed to do as humans: pick things up, move them. For, you know, you grew up on a dairy farm, right?
Yeah.
You had to pick up and move things.
Oh, yeah.
Hay, bales, cows, calves, tires, all the things. That was part of life. Yeah. We've grown up to do that, but we've also lost that ability. And, you know, first responders, firefighter, police, military, even men, like the men that I teach in my leadership, corporate America, whomever, man, if you go down right now, I need to have the ability to pick you up and take you to safety. if your wife goes down, if your kids go down, you have to have that ability to pick up dead weight, which is what a sandbag is, and move that thing, that person, to a safe space. So I'm excited about this new avenue because, dude, like I told you earlier, I started out in personal training in kinesiology, exercise science. I was strength and conditioning coach in college, and got out of personal training for a little while, and really was like, no, I'm done with that. This has reinvigorated the passion and all the knowledge that I've had over the last 27 years of doing this, and using it in a different way to help serve people that didn't know about it, and showing you how easy and how fun fitness can be. What is in shape? In shape is whatever you need it to be. It's not looking a certain way. It's not having a six-pack. What is in shape? Shape is
what can your body
things.
do?
Yeah. What are you capable of, man?
Right.
And moving in these ways and showing people like you're not, the age thing, the pain thing, the discomfort, the joints outside of physical trauma, like what you experienced with rugby.
Yeah.
Even with that though, if we can move you through a range of motion, man.
Right.
It's all the things.
Right.
So I'm on fire right now in teaching and creation.
I can feel it.
Yeah, because we have a new app. I'm doing all the programming for this company. So the app that they had, it's still there. Now I'm doing all these new programs for sandbags, for body weight, for training for an obstacle race, for just being a better human being, mission critical movements for first responders and firefighters and just people in general.
When what's so important and what's so beneficial about getting your workout outside, in the outdoors, under the sun, or the rain?
Man, nature is where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
The healing energy of the ground. Like there is an energy that comes from the ground. If you can train barefoot, it's even more profound.
I'm gonna try it.
Healing comes from the ground. As woo-woo as that sounds, it is science.
I got real flimsy soles though, man. My feet are very. Just got to get out there and just start grinding.
Start moving. Yeah, I mean, don't go crazy on it. Like
don't do it on the
around.
blacktop in August.
No shit. Don't do that. Yeah, but just go out on the grass. Like start walking on the grass for 5-10 minutes every day.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, start doing some squats.
Maybe drag those plates around with no shoes on.
Do like a set barefoot.
Yeah,
and then build up to do that for a couple weeks. Then build up to 2 sets. Then build up to 3. Over time, you'll get it. But outside, like in nature, psychologically, physiologically, that's where we feel most at home, because as humans, that's where we were created. That's where we came from. So nature is the greatest healer. Like it's shown that if you can just look at a picture of outside, that automatically starts to lower your cortisol levels.
Wow.
So being out in nature, in that primal space, is where we are designed to move. So it's critical. And also like being underneath incandescent lights and fluorescent bulbs all the time, that's killing you, man.
Yeah.
You have to get out. The sun isn't your enemy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, so at the beginning of 2020 as a health and fitness and mental wellness guy.
Yeah.
And you're hearing, stay in your house, don't go outside, don't be around people. What are the first things, because we have a cold. There's a cold and it might kill you if you're really, really out of shape or if there's an anomaly. So when you start hearing that stuff, what's going through your mind immediately? Are you like, the fuck are you talking about?
Bullshit, get outside. Vitamin D is critical for immune function. You stay inside, what are you doing? You're suppressing your immune function. Dude, I've studied that since 2005. Wow. Like I've been preaching vitamin D and sun and immune function being outside since that time.
Were you calling bullshit on the cold as soon as it came out?
It's the flu. That's what I was telling people. Like, and now, that's a whole nother topic, but that's what it is it's, if you are immunosuppressed, if you have issues outside of some sort of anomaly, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
If you're not immunosuppressed, if you don't have these issues, if you take care of yourself. I mean, I got it. I felt like I had a cold and body aches for a couple of days. I was good to go.
I got it twice.
Yeah. So and we're fine. But telling someone to not be around another human being, which we need, that's going to create depression. That's going to create isolation. Ted Kaczynski, you just said it.
Yeah.
That you can't be around people. You can't talk to people.
Yeah.
Bullshit. We spent the entire pandemic outside.
Good. Me too.
Every day, all day. Rock climbing, all the things.
Awesome.
Like that's what we did, and I mean, and that's the sad part is that's what people were doing, and they were like, no, you can't do that. Bullshit. Good luck finding me.
Yeah. Why don't you come to Collin County and tell me I got to stay in my house and see how that goes over? What do most people not understand? Just something really basic, like a fast takeaway from this. if they're trying to improve their nutrition? Are most people in a constant state of dehydration like we hear about? Are carbs bad? Is one diet good for everyone? Is this the type of thing where you really got to get in tune with your own body and figure out what works for you? And let me add even another layer to this very complex question. Where do you fall on food sensitivity? Things like that. Like a lot of people are allergic to certain foods, but maybe they don't even know it. It's causing inflammation. I had a guest on, someone Blake referred, he's allergic to eggs, man. Eggs, that's supposed to be the most like healthy food in the world. Where do you fall on all of that? Not to, take another hour of your time, but just simply like, how can we be our own best advocates when it comes to our own health?
Yeah, number one, clean out all the stuff, which I'm sure you've talked about with other guests. The processed things, the refined sugars,
boxes
all the stuff
and bags.
Yeah, all that stuff. But the biggest thing as a holistic nutritionist and someone that studied integrative medicine for a very long time, your relationship with what you put in your body is more important than what you're putting in. That's it. Now, I'm not saying, again, that you can go just crush in and out every day, but if you're eating a salad with organic greens and grass-fed beef and fish and chicken every day, but you're like, fuck, I want a cheeseburger. Oh, I wish I had this on it. That's creating an inflammatory response. That's creating an increase in cortisol. So you can have the best diet on the planet, but you're not going to get the result. You can't wait to stop being on that diet because your relationship with the food is not where it should be. So whether you're keto, animal-based, vegan, whatever, you have to change your relationship with the food and with what you're doing around the food. That is the most important thing. That is the most critical piece of the puzzle, is your relationship with what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you want to eat and experiment, like I started doing animal-based back in February just to try it. My allergies went away. My breathing got better.
Like carnivore type deal?
Carnivore, but with fruit.
Okay.
And I'll eat vegetables. But same thing.
What allergies went away? Like seasonal?
Seasonal. So
really?
Allergies for me showed up as extreme fatigue. Extreme fatigue. Like if you asked me to run to the front door, I'd be like, can't do it.
Like you felt like you had mono or something?
Yeah, and I would need to go home and it was hard to walk in to get to bed to take a nap.
Wow.
It was almost body ache-ish. And especially at the park I told you that I was at, bro. Yeah. I mean, I would be walking around with a client and be like, oh my God, I felt like you just put 100 pounds on me.
Really?
And I would have to go home and take a nap. So that went away. My breathing got better. My digestion actually improved. So for me, it's been very beneficial. And also, but I go in and out of it.
What do you say to the people who flip out when you tell them that you eat a lot of fruit because all the fructose in that, and that sugar's horrible for you?
Yeah. And it's not.
What fruits are you dialed in on most, like right now?
Watermelon and papaya.
Okay.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah.
Are you a pineapple guy?
Ooh.
I just murder pineapple, man. Yeah, like
I
2
like
whole pineapples a week usually.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go through a large watermelon, if not more, a week.
Do you ever have you ever tried scooping the watermelon in with like a little bit of coconut water and blending it up and then drinking that?
Ooh, no.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know who Gary V is?
Yeah.
His new fiance or whatever. That hydrates you so. It's insane, man.
But the way I'm training, what I'm training for, I have to have those nutrients. Like I can't subsist off of just meat and fat, and this is impossible.
Yeah.
Because of the level at which I'm putting my body through.
And when is that event?
October 21st.
So what are you going to be doing in that? You explained it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just sounds impossible to perform.
Yeah. Well, that's the goal.
Is this it's like the biathlon in the Olympics on steroids?
Well, the company's called GoRuck, and the event is their selection. So it's an homage to military selection, and it's led by former Green Berets, some Navy SEALs, some Marine Recon guys, and it's 48 hours. You've got to once it's wet and sandy, you've got about a 60-pound backpack on. And you're just doing PT with an 80-pound sandbag, with a 50-pound sandbag, with kettlebells, with body weight, and it is nonstop for 48 hours. From the time you get there to if you complete it, you are a piece of shit. Nothing you do is right. Everything is wrong. Nothing is ever good enough. If they say you're going to do 99 thrusters with a 60-pound pack on and an 80-pound wet sandbag, you better bet your ass that somebody's going to fuck it up at number 99, and you're going to start back over at 0.
So it's like buds?
Yes, exactly.
Times 10?
For civilians for 48 hours.
Oh, really?
And it's cool. And I've done the pre-selection because they didn't have selection the year I wanted to do it, where it was 24 hours. And typically if 30, 40 people sign up, usually a person will finish.
Wow.
And it's cool, and I've asked myself this question of why do I do all these hard things?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? And Kirsten's asked me, some people have asked me. I want to know what it's like to know that the only thing I can rely on is me. When everything, when everybody, when every entity around my space is against me, and I'm hungry, you're not fed, you're tired, and you're pushing to your physical limit literally on every repetition, what are you going to do? When you don't, when you don't have somebody go, hey buddy, it's okay. You need some electrolytes.
Yeah.
You want some fucking coconut water with watermelon here, friend.
Yeah,
they're
buddy.
like,
Get a chilled glass.
Bro, when I did the pre-selection, the event, I started getting fluid in my lungs halfway through the night because it was cold. And so the next day, every time we would do an evolution, it was like breathing through a straw. It was almost gurgly.
Wow.
And at one point, the packs were on our front. We were on the beach in Jacksonville, Florida, and we were having a crab crawl into the ocean. And at one point, I finally broke, and I was like, I can't breathe as I'm crawling backwards. And one of the cadre goes, and I got a great picture. It's on my Instagram. He goes, there's water, there's oxygen in water, motherfucker. And he kicks water in my face, and it's just like water all in me. I was like,
man,
copy. I just kept going. And I knew it was going to end. And the second that thing was over, they're like, hey, brother, great job.
That's awesome.
So proud of you. I'm like, fuck.
So we're talking about pushing limits and then pushing them some more. Mm-hmm. What is Hunt and Prosper? What is that? Is that your motto? You're like, is that like, would that go on your like coat of arms? Mm-hmm. If they put it in Latin?
Yeah.
Would that be your? Yeah.
I got that from my fiance. She created that and gave it to me.
Wow.
But the reason is, and people will read that and go, oh, are you a hunter? I'm like, well, I am, but that's not what it's about. Whatever you hunt for, you're going to prosper. So if it's hunting for a relationship and you do everything right to get there, if you're hunting for success in business, whatever you want to prosper in, you have to first hunt for it. I don't give a shit what it is. You got to, if you want it, you got to go get it.
You're not going to happen upon it.
Yeah,
you're not going to trip over success.
Yeah, you have to wake up and go, I'm going on the fucking hunt today because I'm going to prosper. Nobody's going to stop me. I don't give a fuck how long it takes. I don't care if you're against me, if you're with me. I know what I have to do. And I'm going to find the people around me to go, hey, bro, you got this, to lead me, to guide me, to call me out on my shit. And also be willing to go, oh, calm down. And receive that information, receive the lessons. That's what Hunt and Prosper is about. It's about making you a better human so that whatever you hunt for in life, you will be prosperous. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, if that's your thing, whatever.
Man, there's a brick veneer on this building. You want to go outside and run through it with me after this? Really? You got me fucking fired up, man. If people want to connect with you for keynote speaking, if they want to connect with you for fitness, if they want to connect with you and ask you questions about the plant medicine, breath work, things like that, where can they find you and how can they reach you?
Yeah. My website is hunt-prosper.com. You can message me through there. My email is mo@hunt-prosper.com. On Instagram, it's just hunt_prosper. Those are the easiest ways to get in touch with me.
It's awesome, brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, man.
Hell yeah.
This has been awesome. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Wow. That was badass. I hope you liked that as much as I did. That was right up my alley. It's amazing when you really think about life, how multidimensional it is. There's more to life than just what's on this thing or whatever you're watching or listening to this podcast through. Just think about that. Think about the depth of life, how beautiful life can be. Let's pursue the positive in everything. Mo is awesome. His energy just radiates off of him. I hope you like the podcast. I love shooting the podcast. These are getting crazy awesome recently. All the guests I've ever had on have been so inspiring. I'd love to know what you think about the podcast. Drop a comment below or hit me on Instagram at Jess from the Northwest. Don't forget to check out my TikTok. And if you know somebody that you think should come on the JMP, for sure DM me. I'd love to connect with them, hear their story, and share their ideas about living a fearless, do-it-your-fucking-self life. I will see you guys next time.